Numerous Mayan relics discovered in South America narrate the tale of an empire deeply transformed by Spanish arrival. Temples and pyramids constructed by the Mayans continue to be subjects of study as we reacquaint ourselves with this once-lost civilization. From hidden passageways beneath temples to pyramids concealed within each other, here are 20 bizarre discoveries found within Mayan pyramids. Number 20. Secret passageway discovered under Kukulkan Temple. A previously unexplored passage has been discovered by researchers under the Kukulkan Temple. A team from the National Institute of Anthropology and History of Mexico, INAH, set out to explore the basements of the ancient Mayan city of Chichen Itza, located in eastern Mexico. Under the ruins, researchers continue the exploration begun by the American archaeologist Edward Herbert Thompson at the end of the 19th century. It was he who was the first to discover the existence of natural water wells under this Mayan city, thereby explaining the construction of this ancestral site at this precise location in this watery region. These wells were actually considered to be sacred by the Mayan civilization. Unlike the Roman and European religions, where gods are mostly found in the skies, the Mayans believed that the most sacred place was the earth itself. This is why geological formations like caves and water wells were so sacred. They were access routes to the interior of the earth and therefore to the gods. Using new technologies, in particular laser beams which make it possible to create 3D maps of the city's basements, scientists have discovered the entrance to a passage which could lead to one of the water wells located under the city. A previously unexplored passage and well in this part of the Kukulkan Temple, which researchers have named Uxabalba because of the large number of bones found on site. This passage could help scientists understand how the Maya used water wells and what relationships they shared with them. Now it's time for today's topic. In a recent archaeological expedition deep within the Mayan jungles of Mexico, researchers stumbled upon an astounding discovery buried behind a sealed stone door in an ancient pyramid. Upon opening the chamber, they found a massive, intricately carved stone statue that resembled no known human or animal figure. Towering in size, the statue portrayed a creature with an elongated skull, ribbed torso, and strange appendages, as if it was modeled after a being from another world. The statue's appearance was so alien-like that some archaeologists immediately drew comparisons to ancient Mayan legends of sky gods and otherworldly visitors. Carvings surrounding the statue seemed to depict scenes of reverence and interaction between the Mayan people and these mysterious beings. Though made entirely of stone, the level of detail was unsettlingly lifelike, leading experts to wonder if the statue was meant to honor or ward off a terrifying presence. The discovery has baffled archaeologists and historians alike, leaving them questioning the origins of the Mayan civilization and their possible connections to unknown, advanced beings. As further studies continue, this enigmatic stone figure could hold the key to rewriting parts of human history. Number 19. Ancient Mayan road network discovered beneath Guatemala jungle. The Guatemalan jungle hides many secrets, and one of them has been recently revealed. Scientists have discovered a vast Mayan city of about 2,000 square kilometers. This city is filled with tunnels and roads, creating a major road network. Imagine finding an entire city under a jungle. Researchers have found houses, palaces, roads, and pyramids that have been buried for centuries under the jungle of the Petén region, on the border of Mexico and Belize. Capturing 1,700,000 acres or 2,000 square kilometers, 30 researchers and scientists joined forces to uncover the secrets of the Petén jungle. They used LiDAR light detection and ranging technology, which allows aerial images of the jungle to be recreated using drones. This new technology enabled them to discover an immense pre-Columbian city that was hidden for hundreds of years under a super-rich vegetation. Thermal sensors made it possible to detect a vast network of underground passages and roads, but also more than 60,000 buildings like houses, palaces, and even a 30-meter-high pyramid that could be the tomb of a rich Mayan king. Archaeologists have work to do. Number 18. Inside a Maya pyramid, mysterious carvings hint at superpower struggle. An incredible frieze dating back to the Mayan civilization was discovered at the archaeological site of Homel, located in the Petén department in northern Guatemala on the border with Mexico and Belize. In 2013, a team of archaeologists made their way into one of the largest pyramids, following an ancient staircase to the threshold of a ceremonial building. There, they climbed through a hole in the ground and discovered a beautifully preserved 8-meter-long frieze above the entrance to a tomb. It's considered to be the most spectacular pre-Hispanic vestige. The frieze depicts 3 men, including a king of Homel, emerging from the jaws of strange monsters themselves, flanked by creatures from the underworld intertwined with 2 giant feathered serpents. A series of graphic representations, also called glyphs, corresponded to the list of kings of Homel. In the middle of the frieze was a snake with a wide clownish smile. The snake's head was the symbol of a family, the Canul, also called the Serpent Kings, which ruled for generations about 161 kilometers north of the Homel site. In 1973, archaeologists finally observed that this symbol was an emblem glyph. In other words, it designated a city and a royal title, a bit like a coat of arms. The reign of the Serpent Kings leaves many unsolved questions. How did they live? Did they exercise power? Were they fighting? Some even wonder whether certain names of kings correspond to real or mythical beings. Number 17. El Zotz Mask. In Guatemala, a team of archaeologists discovered a pyramid topped with the remains of a Mayan temple dedicated to the night sun under a pyramid on the site of El Zotz in the Petén Forest, 550 kilometers north of the capital. This pyramid is located right behind a royal tomb on top of the Diablo pyramid, which was therefore probably constructed to venerate the person buried. The temple is adorned with masks all around and painted stucco. All the masks are 1.5 meters high and are accompanied by a large frieze that symbolizes the three phases of the sun. All these sculpted elements pay tribute and glorify the night sun, which is personified by a jaguar mentioned in the Mayan book of Popol Vuh. Archaeologists believe that the temple had probably 14 masks in total. However, only 8 of them were found since the Mayan civilization built additional levels on top of the structure to preserve the stucco. Excavation is difficult, and only 40% of the building has been uncovered. Researchers believe that the temple was constructed between 350 and 400 AD. Number 16. Mayan Burial Site. An immense platform of 1.4 kilometers built by the Mayan civilization has been discovered in Mexico. This site is named Usta Phoenix and is the largest Mayan site ever discovered. It was apparently built 3,000 years ago, way before the famous pyramids that are found in the region. This also makes it one of the oldest Maya sites known to date. Archaeologists used airborne remote sensing technology in order to find the Usta Phoenix site. A LiDAR, light detection and ranging, which is an instrument that uses laser beams to create 3D maps of the ground, was carried aboard a plane that flew over to study the area. This is the first time that this technology has been used in this context. Relief surveys, which consist of scans provided by LiDAR, revealed the existence of 21 burial sites. All of them are centered on rectangular earthen platforms extending approximately from north to south. Usta Phoenix is the largest of these ceremonial sites. Number 15. Cave of relics found under Mayan ruins of Chichen Itza. Archaeologists searching for a sacred well beneath the ancient Mayan city of Chichen Itza in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula have stumbled upon a treasure of more than 150 ritual objects unexploited for more than 1,000 years. These objects were found in a series of caves that may contain many clues about the hegemony and fall of the Mayan civilization. This cave network is also known as the Balamku Cave or the Jaguar God Cave. After its initial discovery by farmers in 1966, the small Mayan site of Balamku was visited by archaeologist Victor Segovia Pinto, who wrote a report stating the presence of a considerable number of historical artifacts. But instead of digging and searching the site, the archaeologist ordered the farmers to seal the entrance. The Balamku site remained sealed for more than 50 years. It was finally opened in 2018 by a group of archaeologists who were searching for a well or water source beneath Chichen Itza. Instead of finding some water, they found an Alibaba cave filled with treasure. A large number of offerings were left there by the ancient inhabitants of Chichen Itza. They were so perfectly preserved that even some stalagmites had formed around the incense burners, vases, painted plates, and other artifacts. Number 14. Sacred sinkhole discovered under 1,000-year-old Mayan temple, and it may eventually destroy the pyramid. As discussed previously, the Pyramid of Kukulkan, which is dedicated to the feathered serpent god, is a pre-Hispanic monument which is over 1,000 years old at Chichen Itza in Mexico. This Mayan site is incredibly surprising. It is made of 3 pyramidal structures and hides a network of secret passageways. That's right, the Kukulkan temple also hides a maze of water tunnels, and they could possibly destroy the entire thing. Archaeologists recently discovered a 1,000-year-old tunnel that goes down under the Kukulkan pyramid. It was apparently a secret passage that seemed to have been sealed by the Mayans themselves. The scientific team is convinced that it leads to a natural underground pool, also called a cenote, a cavity filled with fresh water formed by the collapse of limestone rock. For the Mayans, these water holes were sacred places and considered to be open gates to another world. Some cenotes were places of worship where offerings or sacrifices could be made to satisfy the gods. This discovery could explain how more than 1,000 years ago, the Mayans chose this place to build their sacred temple. The water-filled cavity is located under the Kukulkan temple and is 35 meters long and 20 meters deep, And guess what? Only a 5-meter deep limestone layer is separating the foundations of the pyramid from the tunnels. The whole temple might therefore collapse in several years. Number 13. Second Mayan pyramid discovered inside famous temple of Kukulkan like a nesting doll. A pyramidal structure which could date from the years 550 to 800 has been discovered inside the Great Pyramid of Kukulkan, located in the Mayan city of Chichen Itza in Mexico. Another similar but larger structure was discovered in the 1930s, showing that the imposing building was erected in at least 3 stages. There are basically 3 pyramids built one on top of the other to achieve what we know today as El Castillo, just like Russian dolls. The recently discovered pyramid was discovered using a non-destructive technique, tomography, which makes it possible to reconstruct the volume of the interior of a building. This last discovered pyramidal structure is believed to be the oldest and measures 10 meters in height. The one discovered in the 1930s dates to the period between 800 and 1000 and reaches 20 meters. El Castillo itself measures almost 30 meters and dates from the time of the Mayan collapse, 1050 to 1300. That's a super important discovery. Now we know more about the Mayan culture and what people were capable of doing thousands of years ago. Number 12. Mysterious golden spheres found in tunnel beneath Mexican pyramid. At the height of the Mayan Empire, Teotihuacan was a thriving metropolis with a population of around 125,000 people. There, wide roads, high walls, intricate structures, and great pyramids were built by a mysterious civilization that was as advanced as the ancient Egyptians. Around the middle of the 7th century, this immense metropolis was completely abandoned by its inhabitants. When the Aztecs visited there centuries later, they found the remains of this ancient city without any signs to explain its history. Even modern archaeologists who have spent decades researching and excavating cannot explain the origin of the city and why it was suddenly abandoned. In 2003, beneath the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, also known as the Temple of Quetzalcoatl, at a depth of 18 meters underground, archaeologists discovered a 100-meter-long tunnel with 3 main chambers, including the Golden Chamber. This golden room is made of thousands of shiny spheres that appear to be made of gold. Moreover, it turned out that the surface of the entire chamber where these balls were located was initially covered with magnetite, pyrite, and hematite, which gave it the appearance of a chamber entirely made of pure gold. Back in the days of ancient civilizations, this room must have been breathtaking. It had golden walls, floors, ceilings, and hundreds of shiny spheres. This chamber still remains a mystery, and no one knows what it was used for. One theory is that it might have served as a place for the burial of priests and important figures of that time. Another theory is that the Teotihuacan chamber and golden spheres were ritual objects used for religious ceremonies, and the golden balls themselves may have been magical objects for spells. Number 11. Earliest evidence of Maya calendar found inside Guatemalan pyramid. In the ruins of a pyramid in Guatemala, archaeologists have found a fragment containing a hieroglyphic date believed to come from the 260-day Mayan sacred calendar. It is the oldest trace of this calendar system to be discovered in Central America. The Mayans are one of the most important civilizations to have evolved in Mesoamerica, and there are many aspects to it that still continue to fascinate historians. The Mayan calendar is one of them. Rather than a single system, research has shown that the Mayans used 2 cyclical calendars. One was sacred and counted 260 days, while the other was solar and counted 365 days. On the site of Las Pinturas, which is at the Mayan archaeological site of San Bartolo in northeastern Guatemala, traces of the sacred 260-day calendar were found. That's right, during their last excavations, archaeologists found a fragment of a wall showing an animal's head surmounted by a point and a line. According to them, this symbol represents the 7 deer, which is one of the days of the sacred calendar of 260 days. This calendar is called Tzolk'in and is common to all Mesoamerican civilizations. It is made up of a series of days numbered from 1 to 20, which is repeated 13 times during the year to reach a total of 260 days. Number 10. Tomb of King who inspired Mayan pyramids discovered. Many graves are found on archaeological sites, and they often hide many surprises. This is the case of an excavated tomb at the Tacalic Abaje dig in Redel Huliu, which is located in southwestern Guatemala. This grave was surrounded by jade beads and other precious objects. An interesting necklace was found. It consists of a pendant with a carved vulture's head, which was the symbol of power and wealth. According to archaeologists, this grave is home to King Kutchan, making it the oldest royal Mayan burial site ever found. This Mayan king was a priest that reigned around 700 BC. He is defined as the big chief among historians, as he managed to rule over different cultures and eventually shifted to Mayan culture. King Kutchan is even actually behind all the elements that are proper to the Mayan culture, such as pyramids and carvings. Guatemala is filled with history regarding the Mayan civilization. Who knows what other findings might be next? Number 9. Chac Mool. The Chac Mool is a stone sculpture found on different Mayan temples and archaeological sites around Mexico and Guatemala. The Chac Mool is a semi-recumbent human sculpture resting on its arms with bent legs, allowing it to hold a circular container in its abdomen while its head appears to be turned to the side. It was named by the American explorer Augustus Luplongeon, who, while excavating the archaeological area of Chichen Itza between the years 1870 and 1880, discovered this singular sculpture on the platform of the eagles and the jaguars. Augustus Luplongeon proposed the name Chac Mool, which refers to a red claw of a jaguar in Mayan, thinking that it represented a Mayan leader whose name was tiger or jaguar. It might not be the most appropriate name for this sculpture. However, its real name hasn't been found. Most Chac Mool sculptures that were found were constructed between 900 and 1521 AD. But what is it made for? Well, there are different interpretations of its function. Some researchers believe that the Chac Mool was an altar on which offerings to the rain god were placed, such as meat, flowers, hallucinogenic plants, tobacco, balch, an alcoholic beverage, incense, and even hearts. Others think that it was used as a sacrificial stone. What is for sure is that the Chac Mool holds a sacred meaning since it has always been found on altars or near religious buildings. In Chichen Itza, for example, one can find the Chac Mool in the Temple of the Warriors. However, since the Chac Mool was found in many different sites, its meaning might vary depending on each civilization. The Chac Mool is still a mystery. Number 8. The Tomb of Pakal. In 1949, archaeologists discovered the tomb of Pakal the Great under a steep staircase of 45 steps in the Temple of Inscriptions in Palenque, Mexico. A spectacular crypt was found and contained a gigantic grave covering the sarcophagus of Pakal. On top of the carved grave, the figure of a man in Mayan attire is drawn. This carved drawing has been subject to many different theories, and some even believe that it represents a spaceship. Pakal's remains are said to be different from the physical characteristics of the Mayan people. The quantity and quality of the jewelry that was found on the site give an idea of the high status of Pakal. The remains are covered with jewelry. His hands and elongated fingers have multiple rings. Analyses carried out with carbon-14 on the skeleton dated back to 2,000 years ago. Number 7. Mysterious beam of light on top of the Mayan pyramid. Back in 2012, the photograph of a strange light escaping from a Mayan temple in Mexico was disclosed on the internet and revived the theory of the end of the world. This photo, representing the Mayan temple of Chichen Itza in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, was taken on the 24th of July in 2009 by Hector Salazar, an American tourist using his iPhone. For some, this was a sign of the Mayan people themselves, who wanted to show us the road to survival. But since the light was heading towards space, our salvation would apparently be found on another planet. Fortunately, scientists and specialists have also looked into the question and came up with tangible answers. According to Jonathan Hill, a NASA scientist, this pink light is not supernatural but was probably a flash that appeared exactly when the tourist took the photograph, which caused an image distortion. Number 6. Robot finds hidden chambers under Aztec pyramid. The imposing Mesoamerican city of Teotihuacan in Mexico has not yet revealed all of its secrets. Despite the numerous excavations that have been performed for more than a century, 3 new burial chambers have just been discovered under the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, which others also call the Pyramid of Quetzalcoatl. What's actually surprising is that they were discovered by a robot named Tlaloc 2TC. It all started in 2003 when heavy rains revealed the entrance to a network of tunnels near the temple. Archaeological research carried out since then has uncovered several thousand objects made of jade, stone, or shell, as well as ceramics. In 2011, radar studies revealed the existence of a 100-meter tunnel passing under the temple. To explore the last 35 meters of it, archaeologists decided to use a modern-day explorer named Tlaloc 2TC. This remote-controlled robot was developed by Robotics to visit tight places. It moves using 4 tracks, the 2 front ones being adjustable in the vertical plane, and it has mechanical arms that can reach or move obstacles. Tlaloc 2TC carries a scanner that can take measurements up to 5 meters away. This robot explored the entire tunnel with an accuracy of 10 to 15 centimeters and discovered 3 rooms at the end of it. Archaeologists believe that it was a procession route. The excavation site of the Temple of Quetzalcoatl is the 3rd in the world to have been explored by a robot to prepare for future excavations. How can Indiana Jones compete with such a detailed machine? Number 5. The red jaguar statue found in what is described as the throne room of the Temple of Kukulkan at the Chichen Itza archaeological site. El Castillo in Chichen Itza was built by the Mayans from the 9th to the 12th century AD. In the 1930s, scientists discovered another temple containing a Chac Mool and a red throne, which is in the shape of a jaguar. This red jaguar's eyes are green and made of a certain type of jadeite, while its fangs are made of shells. Both of these materials were considered highly precious by the Mayan civilization. This jaguar throne is painted in red using cinnabar, which is mercury sulfide. For the Mayans, objects could contain sinkhole, which is a source force that resides in the blood. The brilliant red pigment of cinnabar was therefore a sacred substance used on meaningful or precious objects. Since cinnabar was not easily found in Chichen Itza, researchers believe that the jaguar throne might therefore have had an important ceremonial significance and might have been used in rituals. Number 4. Tomb of Maya Queen Kabul discovered in Guatemala. Archaeologists have discovered the tomb of Queen Kabul, who is considered to be one of the greatest queens of the Mayan civilization. Kabul reigned with her husband Kinichbalam for at least 20 years from 672 to 692 AD. She was the military governor of the Waka Kingdom, which was the imperial house of the Serpent King, and she held the title Kalumt, which means supreme warrior. Kabul had more authority than her husband, the king. The tomb was discovered during excavations in the royal Mayan city of El Peruaca in northwestern Petén, Guatemala, by a team of archaeologists. A small carved pot made of alabaster was found in the burial chamber and led archaeologists to conclude that the tomb was that of Queen Kabul. The white pot is carved into the shape of a conch shell with the head and arms of an elderly woman. The depiction of the woman, mature with a wrinkled face and a lock of hair in front of her ear, and 4 glyphs engraved on the pot signify that it belonged to Kabul. Number 3. Excavations uncover headless life-size Maya statue. Archaeologists found a strange headless statue at the site of Oxcantoc in Mexico, which was an ancient Mayan city. This life-size statue measures approximately 1.68 meters and is made of limestone. The statue is missing its head, hands, legs, and feet. Its identification is still uncertain, but some archaeologists think it might represent Cax, the Mayan god of fertility. Further investigations are still needed in order to determine with certainty the specific function of the statue that was discovered near a staircase decorated with hieroglyphs, which is currently being cleaned and restored. Although the statue clearly depicts a human figure, everything else is still shrouded in mystery. The sculpture appears to possess male genitalia, but archaeologists are not sure of its gender. Number 2. Ancient Mayan cities are heavily contaminated with mercury. A study highlights significant rates of mercury contamination in soils that were occupied by Mayan civilizations in Mexico and Central America. Intended for the manufacture of decorative and religious objects, the exploitation of mercury also had great consequences on Mayan populations. The most common recorded form is cinnabar, or mercury sulfide, which is a bright red mineral widely used by the ancient Maya for decoration, crafts, and rituals, particularly in funerary settings. Containers filled with liquid mercury have even been found in rooms. The use of mercury for over a millennium between 250 and 1100 AD was apparently the cause of intense soil pollution at the time and still persists today. Today, in fact, even certain archaeological sites are dangerous. 7 out of 10 Mayan sites, including Chac Mool in what is now Mexico, Marco Gonzalez in Belize, and La Corona in Guatemala, have mercury levels equal to or higher than modern environmental toxicity criteria. Number 1. Maya tomb uncovered holding body, treasure, and tales of Snake Dynasty. The archaeological team from Northern Arizona University, Florida, and the Belize Institute of Archaeology, led by American archaeologist Jamie Awe, unearthed the most important Mayan tomb known to date in Belize. The site of Zunantunec, located on the Mopan River on the border with Guatemala, is home to a 1,300-year-old burial chamber. This place is 5 to 8 meters deep with a flight of stairs and contains numerous historical documents. A body, which scientific analyses have determined to be that of a 20 to 30-year-old man, was found lying on his back with his head facing south. It was surrounded by all types of funerary furniture, with 13 obsidian blades, 36 ceramics, some jade beads which were sacred to the Mayans, as well as animal bones. The tomb is 4.5 meters in length and 2.4 meters wide, which makes it one of the largest burials ever discovered in Belize. It was built at the same time as the temple that contains it, which is surprising considering that the Mayans used to dig tombs within pre-existing structures. Everything suggests that the tomb therefore contains a super important person. Archaeologists also found engraved symbols of serpent heads with hieroglyphs on the site. They reveal important information regarding the Snake Dynasty. Further studies are being led to finally discover the identity of the skeleton, the causes of its death, and hopefully the conditions of the decline of the Mayan civilization, which collapsed under unknown circumstances. What other secrets might the Mayan civilizations still hold? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Also, take a look at our other interesting content currently displaying on your screen. See you next time.